In any crisis situation, certain steps come naturally. If someone suddenly collapses from a heart attack, the immediate response is to perform chest compressions to maintain oxygen flow to the brain until professional help with a defibrillator arrives. Controlling bleeding always takes priority over worrying about broken bones. But there I was, sitting on my patio, utterly confused about what to do next. This was unfamiliar ground for me. As a certified critical care nurse, I had long relied on my skill to detect early warning signs of a patient's deterioration. I could sense subtle changes well before a full-blown emergency emerged. Yet I had failed to notice the warning signals in my own marriage. After almost 2 decades, it hit me. My marriage was beyond repair. I had made my decision. I wouldn't try to salvage it any longer. I was prepared to walk away, and initially I wanted Bonnie to feel the sting of it just as much as I did. But after reconsidering, I shifted my strategy. I didn't want the children caught in the crossfire, so I resolved to confront Bonnie and her lover quietly, sparing the kids from the turmoil. Taking a slow sip of beer, my eyes roamed over the backyard. The manicured lawn stretched out toward the bayou, framed by a handful of towering oak and pecan trees. The house was spacious, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, with every modern convenience. It was far beyond what I could have earned on a nurse's paycheck. The home was a legacy, gifted by my father and grandfather when Bonnie and I got engaged. Our family's ancestral land provided the foundation, and the house had been built by my father's construction business, Fontenot and Sons. I'd never been obsessed with wealth. All I wanted was enough to provide for my family and enjoy simple pleasures. I had a boat for fishing and camping excursions, a truck to tow it, and the occasional rifle or tool. Family was everything to me, and now it all felt like it was crumbling. I noticed my sister Susan stepping out of her back door, her house almost an exact replica of mine, down to the dock we shared on the bayou. I raised my hand and she made her way over. There was a lot that needed saying. "Starting early today, Rob? It's just 2 in the afternoon and you're already on a beer? That cooler must be half empty by now," she joked, eyeing the bottle in my hand. I shrugged. "I'm off for the whole week. Figured I'd settle in out here. Don't want to keep running back inside for another drink." I offered her a beer and she accepted, twisting the cap open as she sat down beside me. Susan's casual tone faded quickly. "Okay, what's really going on? When you called me and said I needed to come home and not tell anyone, I thought someone got hurt. You said no one was dead or injured, but you don't sound okay. I'm pretty sure you didn't just call me for company." I didn't waste time dancing around the truth. Bonnie's been unfaithful. I found out a couple of hours ago. Got an email with proof attached. Video proof. Her face froze in disbelief. "Are you absolutely sure? That has to be some sick joke, right?" I nodded, voice tight. "No joke. The email came from pissed off 999. Said your wife is cheating. Here's the proof. More to come." "Never heard of them before." Susan sat back, absorbing it all, then exploded with fury. "That cheating? How could she? Does she think I won't destroy her and that man? I swear, I'd rip her hair out. And wait, Rich, my husband? She's sleeping with him? They're both betraying us?" Her face drained of color, tears threatening. I pulled her into a hug. "I wanted to tell you softly I've had a few hours to collect myself, enough not to lose it completely." She wiped her eyes and squared her shoulders, anger flaring hotter than ever. "So what's the plan? Wait for them to come home and confront them head on?" "No," I said. "We play it smart. Tonight we act like nothing's wrong. Greet them with a kiss like any other day." She gave me a skeptical look. "You want us to pretend? Act normal after all this?" "Yes," I insisted. "We need a plan. Tomorrow we'll meet with a lawyer. The only silver lining, we haven't been exposed to any diseases. Unless you've been up to something too." I tried to lighten the mood. She shot me the finger. "No way! Rich isn't getting anything from me. I just started my period. So he's out of luck for now." "We can't tell the kids yet," I reminded her. "Not until we know how to handle this." She asked where they were. "Sent to Mom and Dad's this morning. They left right after I came outside, no questions asked. Between us, we had 5 kids. Susan's oldest, Rob, was just a few months younger than my oldest, Jason, who was 17. Then, the twins, Dave and Cindy, 16, and my daughter, Deidre. Our household was a whirlwind, loud and chaotic, but filled with life. Rich had always been a good father and uncle. He helped the kids with schoolwork while I took charge of the outdoor fun, camping, fishing, hunting. We started small with backyard trips, then ventured deeper into the swamps. Rich piloted one boat while I took the kids in another. As they grew, The trips became more challenging, forcing the kids to rely on each other. Made me proud to see their strength, resourcefulness, and the value they placed on family. Now that family was unraveling before my eyes. I had to figure out how to bring this crashing down without losing everything important to me. Just 3 weeks ago, I adjusted my work schedule to take 6 days off in a row. I spent them at Paw Paw's old fishing camp with the kids, driving one boat with the girls, letting the boys take turns on the other. We fished, caught crabs, laughed. It felt like a perfect slice of family life. Though behind the scenes, Bonnie and Rich had already made their choices. The thought of breaking the news to the kids shattered me. Family was everything, and the idea of ripping it apart was unbearable. We can't hide this from them forever, I told Susan. She agreed. True, but not now. I'll make sure nothing looks off while we figure this out. There's no way I can forgive this, I said, pain cutting deep. Bonnie's excuses won't fix what she's done. I need to find a way forward without letting anger destroy me. I can't lose the kids, and I can't do something reckless. Susan nodded firmly. I get it. Next, we make sure she doesn't take more than what's hers. I'll fight to keep everything fair. She smiled, confidence returning. Our houses are safe. Paw Paw made sure of that. Bonnie and Rich can't touch the property, even if they try. She reminded me about the prenuptial agreement. Dad pushed hard for it. I didn't understand why then, but now, it could be your biggest advantage. I had almost forgotten about that prenup, but now it made perfect sense. Bonnie's father had always distrusted me, fearing I might exploit his daughter's wealth. The agreement was designed to protect his assets, clearly stating that anyone caught cheating would only receive a small fraction of the marital property. In the days that followed, I kept replaying the incriminating video showing Bonnie and Rich together. Who filmed it? How did it get leaked? The questions multiplied. Susan demanded to see the footage. Watching it, her anger flared. I can't believe they think they're untouchable, she fumed. We agreed on a careful, strategic approach, not just to confront Bonnie and Rich, but to safeguard ourselves and our family. Then Susan broke down crying, and I couldn't hold back either. The weight of it all hit us hard. Nothing would ever be the same. That evening, I pretended to be drunk. With a half-empty beer, I welcomed Bonnie at the door with an exaggerated hug and kiss. She returned it passionately. I scanned her for any sign of guilt or distance, but saw nothing. She was as seductive as ever, and for a moment desire flickered until anger swept it away. Disgust replaced attraction, and I cut the moment short with a cold, "Dinner's ready." The next morning, I watched Bonnie leave with Rich. I called Susan. How was last night? No issues, she said. Kept it light with jokes. Almost lost it when Rich made a move, but held back. He probably wants to see Bonnie again today. He's lazy about all this. Won't risk anything uncomfortable. By mid-morning, we met with Jake, a divorce lawyer and Susan's colleague. He'd known us for years and agreed to represent us. Do you have solid proof? Jake asked. We assured him we did, but held off showing it. He reviewed our prenups and was impressed. Strong agreements. Did you get legal advice? My dad insisted, I said. Made sure we both signed before marriage. Jake smiled. Cheating limits your claim to 20% of community property, savings, investments, all that. The rest is off limits. What if Bonnie hid money after marriage? I asked. That's community property, Jake replied. Anything pre-marriage is hers alone. Improvements like solar panels. Depends on funding and paperwork. So she only gets 20%? I confirmed. Exactly. You can push her to move out possessions or pay storage fees, but if she's smart, she'll walk away. Jake warned us to keep the video private. If you leaked it, they could sue. If it leaked from their side, that's their problem. Susan and I exchanged looks. We'd thought about sharing it with family, but the risk wasn't worth it. First, we needed to know who recorded it. We planned when to serve divorce papers. I wanted to wait till Friday, but Jake recommended Thursday noon, so they'd have the weekend to stress over finances and paperwork. Susan and I joked about serving them at home, but Jake shut that down. Better to serve at work, public and humiliating. After the lawyer's office, we spent hours at the bank, opening new accounts, moving funds, paying off credit cards, and closing joint accounts tied to them. No big debts, just small details. Jake stressed documenting everything to stay legally clean. That afternoon, more videos of Bonnie and Rich landed in my inbox. Same location, same betrayal. I cautiously replied to the anonymous sender, thanking them but warning about the risks if the footage went public. Deep down, I wished everyone would see the truth, but I wasn't about to risk legal trouble. Soon, I got an address. 9203 Victoria Street, apartment 201. At the building, the receptionist refused help until I hinted at my brother-in-law's shady dealings. Minutes later, I held the lease details, rented under their employer's name, signed by Rich. Their so-called secret hideout wasn't secret anymore. I wondered how the company would react. Thursday arrived, and within half an hour of being served, Bonnie called furious. "Divorce? Are you kidding?" "I know about you and Rich," I said calmly. "I'm setting you free." She denied everything. "It's just rumors. He's family." "I believe it. You'll regret this. I'll take the kids, the house, the boat, everything." I stayed composed. "Get a lawyer. Your things are being packed now. Susan's handling Rich's. Locks changed, restraining orders in place. Find somewhere else to stay." Her screaming ended as I hung up. Minutes later, Susan texted, "Backyard, bring the cooler." She opened a beer, fuming. "Rich denies it all, says it's rumors, claims they never held hands in public. Can you believe that?" I nodded. "Bonnie says the same. Rich's denial is just cover-up." Susan growled, "If he were here, I'd kick his A. Told him to call before picking up stuff. Jake's bringing deputies, just in case." I wasn't thrilled about cops being involved, but Jake insisted it was necessary. "Better safe than sorry." Susan softened. "Thanks for telling the kids. I couldn't have done it." We'd explained the truth calmly, expecting tears, but the kids seemed prepared. My phone pinged with a new email, maybe from Pissed Off 999. Susan urged me to check. Bonnie's voice mocked us. Rich downplayed it, warning of retaliation. I sighed. "They think they can get away with it. That apartment Rich hid for years. How long have they planned this? We have to stay vigilant." Susan wiped tears. "I won't let Bonnie get custody or live in your house. I'll fight for us." Back home, the kids packed Bonnie's things, Deidre and Cindy filling bags carefully. "Photograph everything," I reminded them. It counted against Bonnie's share. The boys nearly finished packing Rich's stuff. Rob tossed clothes carelessly. I smiled, grateful for their support. Bonnie texted she was on our way. I called Jake. Minutes later, he arrived with 2 deputies. As we waited, Bonnie and Rich pulled up, followed by Boudreaux Landry, a school bully I didn't want to see. "Hey, Robert. Trouble with your wife and brother-in-law?" he sneered. I forced a smile. "Family's fine," he smirked. "You sure Rich is cheating?" "No proof, right? Just rumors." I walked away. Bonnie stormed up. "You drained almost everything from our account." "Yep," I said. "I have the statements. You'll get what's fair, no more." She glared, but I stood firm. Susan and I stayed outside while Bonnie and Rich gathered their things. Instead, Deidre and Cindy entered with a deputy to monitor. I'd told the kids to watch for anything unusual. They'd know it when they saw it. Jason and Rob trailed Rich through the house. Bonnie immediately demanded, "Where's my jewelry?" Over the years, I'd bought her expensive pieces worth over $25,000, but most were locked safely in my safe. She wasn't pleased. Boudreaux tried to intervene, but I snapped a photo of the jewelry she wore. "They're all itemized for insurance," I said. "Community property, like the boat and truck Bonnie claimed earlier." I made sure nothing disappeared. Boudreaux looked surprised by my knowledge. Jake stepped in, suggesting Bonnie surrender the ring and necklace for reappraisal. After a tense moment, she reluctantly complied. "Where do you expect me to live?" she asked, irritation clear. I held back a sarcastic reply about her apartment. My feelings had shifted drastically, from love to cold fury. Bonnie and Rich left with Boudreaux trailing. I wondered if they headed to their apartment, but Jake reassured me. "We've got eyes on them. Exposing that place could tip the scales." Instead, they went to a motel, with Boudreaux hauling their belongings. As Susan and the girls cooked, my phone buzzed with another email. The audio was from Boudreaux. "Robert, someone might be tailing you. Stay at a motel and make it look like you slept apart to confuse anyone watching." Rich grumbled about his credit card being declined and planned to get a new one. Boudreaux warned, "List your assets. Hidden money can't be taken if they don't know about it, but don't lie or you risk perjury." Rich snapped, "I'm not giving Susan another dime. Let's move money offshore tonight, mess up the motel room, and fake separate nights." Susan gasped. "Secret accounts? Where'd they get the money? We don't earn enough to hide that much." I tried to focus. Bonnie and I had small weekly cash allowances. Major expenses were on credit cards, which we regularly checked. I joked to the apartment manager that Rich might be into shady business, but you don't think so, right? Susan laughed. "Rich, no way, but I never thought he'd cheat." We agreed to drop the topic for the night and joined the kids for dinner. Next morning, I visited Jake's office with the jewelry appraisal and got my firearms valued too, finally justifying a new Glock Bonnie couldn't argue about. Susan was catching up on work. We met there, and I played Jake the audio files. "I wish I knew who sent these," Jake said. "A PI couldn't move this fast. For the hidden accounts, a judge's order might be needed, but that takes time." We assured him we hadn't noticed missing funds. If they've been squirreling away small sums, it might add up. Jake updated me on the divorce progress. "It takes 6 months here, but we can speed up court dates. Next week, we meet with Bonnie, Rich, and their lawyer to review assets. With adultery involved, counseling is usually dismissed. After the ruling, it's waiting," he added. "Boudreaux called today, demanding more of the money you withdrew." I reminded him of the prenup. He wasn't thrilled. "He wants proof of adultery, but that's for court. He's a joke." I might even play that audio of him advising to hide cash offshore in court. Won't get him disbarred, but it'd embarrass him. I hated the idea of working that weekend, but no one could cover my shifts. "What if I start coughing and need a COVID test?" I joked with Sharon. "Could you cover then?" She laughed but took it seriously. "Nice try. But if I found out my husband was cheating, I'd be a wreck. You've got plenty of sick and vacation time. This counts as emergency leave. Just take care of yourself. We'll start your vacation once you're ready." I offered a compromise. "How about I work this weekend and start my leave Monday?" "Perfect," she said, visibly relieved. "Take as long as you need and keep me updated." Work kept my mind occupied. Weekends in the ICU were chaotic. Fewer procedures, but constant vigilance. At the nurse's station, I spotted my father-in-law, Dr. Prejean, waiting. "What brings you here, Doc?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He wasn't interested in small talk. "Cut the crap. I heard you kicked Bonnie out. She was crying to her mom last night." I didn't sugarcoat it. "Bonnie's having an affair with my sister's husband. I'm managing a family crisis." John looked stunned. "She told us it was gossip, said they just carpool. No affair." "I've got proof, audio, video. I wouldn't act on rumors." His face softened, conflicted. "What will you do?" "I'm trying to protect the kids, but I can't let it slide. What if she caught me cheating?" He was blunt. "I'd want your head on a platter. I'd help her bury you. How are Jason and Deidre handling this?" "They're holding up better than expected. Cousins help a lot. They're not ready to talk to you yet." "I'm sorry, Robert. I'll put the kids first. After that, I'll support Bonnie's needs. I don't condone her actions, but if you have proof, I'm on your side." His honesty was a small comfort. He left the office visibly shaken. That evening, Susan and I broke the news to our parents. My dad asked for proof, which I provided. His main concern was the kids' well-being. "Family always comes first," he said, promising his support. By Wednesday, we were gathering financial records. A court-appointed arbitrator reviewed our assets. Bonnie's income surprised me, around $5,000 a month, close to mine. Jake said this would help eliminate alimony claims, prenup or no prenup. Susan struggled to get Rich's tax returns. He hadn't filed properly. She breathed easier when Jake confirmed a likely substantial maintenance payment. Then Bonnie, Rich, and Boudreaux showed up for the asset meeting. Bonnie's glare was fierce, angry, but unapologetic. Rich looked uneasy, trying to stay neutral. The court official introduced himself and his assistant, who recorded everything. "We'll start with affidavits. Everything you say is evidence. Today's goal, list assets and income. The judge will decide on property division. Prenups won't be discussed today, but are a factor." They began listing vehicles, firearms, and household items, quickly done. Bonnie's jewelry appraised higher than my truck and tools combined. Boudreaux insisted on separating the solar system, which Jake noted carefully. Despite assumptions, 401k accounts were included due to our long marriage. When we reached the financial statements, I declared I'd taken 80% of my funds. Susan and Rich's finances followed. Then the auditor raised concerns. Bonnie's reported income was nearly $140,000 annually, far above the $60,000 I'd estimated from pay stubs. I explained Bonnie and Rich had hired a new accountant, one of their clients. Bonnie blushed as bonuses accounted for the extra income. Rich's bonuses totaled $110,000 yearly, netting $80,000. "So, where's the money, Bonnie?" I asked, voice hard. "No wonder you fled to the Caymans last week." "Hiding it." She froze, then shot back. "Are you stalking me?" "No need. We tracked your phone. The kids found you off the grid most days. Flight info showed your Cayman trip. Monday, you were in Baton Rouge. Probably moving money," Jake added. "Boudreaux, Advising clients to hide assets offshore is felony. Bonnie broke down, tears falling. Rich looked worried. Boudreaux denied wrongdoing, but his face said otherwise. Susan asked if we could force the money back. Jake promised, "You'll get 80% once we prove infidelity." Bonnie's sudden outburst shocked us. "There's no money left. It's gone." Rich tried to silence her, but she shouted, "You stole it!" I stayed calm. "I only discovered this recently. How do you explain gambling or spending it?" Bonnie claimed their attempt to transfer funds was rejected. They'd investigated in Baton Rouge, but no records showed where the money went. Jacobs volunteered to dig into the Baton Rouge accounts, promising quick results for the court records. After Bonnie and Rich left, Susan asked, frustrated, "Where did the money go?" I shrugged, thinking, another mystery. Jake and Boudreaux pushed to speed up the case, likely pressured by Bonnie and Rich. After a week at a motel, they moved into an apartment, their finances tight. I smirked, imagining their secret love nest. Knowing Boudreaux's expensive retainer would drain funds fast, all 5 kids insisted on attending the hearing. Jake explained Judge Guidry's style, informal, sitting close, with us arranged around a table. The kids sat front and center. We stood when the judge entered, warned to behave or be removed. The judge reviewed the cases, then addressed adultery. Louisiana law doesn't penalize it in divorce, but prenups matter. He detailed asset discrepancies and attempts to hide funds. Investigations found Bonnie and Rich had $120,000 and $160,000 in Baton Rouge accounts, but transferred the money a week before divorce papers, legally, into 5 children's accounts. I was stunned. Bonnie hid the money in plain sight. The judge noted the transfer couldn't be undone without proof of fraud. None existed, so the money stayed with the kids. Bonnie and Rich glared, defeated. We all shook our heads, no proof of fraud. Custody came next. Deidre said she wanted to live with me, citing Bonnie's cheating. Jason and some siblings agreed. Others chose their mother for the same reason. The judge reminded Deidre cheating wasn't legally established yet, but mentioned she could petition emancipation at 16, supported by a $56,000 college fund. The siblings echoed this, claiming independence through their funds. The judge smiled, warned them to behave, and said he'd consider their wishes. Jake then presented photos of Bonnie and Rich together. Boudreaux objected, calling the photos possibly doctored, but Jake stood firm. The evidence was solid. The judge looked at me. Jake gave a nod. "Your Honor, I don't know the source of these, but I have videos and audio from an anonymous sender. The photos are screenshots from those videos. I'd prefer not to show the full video unless necessary. If allowed, I request the children be excused. They shouldn't see this." Deidre shrugged. "No problem, Dad. We've seen worse." Cindy joked, making everyone laugh by describing one video's awkward moment. I froze, then realized the full scope. My father nodded slightly. The judge saw Bonnie and Rich's horrified faces. "Mr. Fontenot, do you want us to play the video, or do all parties agree adultery occurred?" Boudreaux glanced anxiously, but Bonnie and Rich pleaded not to play it. The judge relented. After a private talk, Boudreaux conceded, "We accept the plaintiff's claims." The judge ruled, "Since adultery is agreed upon, the prenuptial agreement stands. Mr. Fontenot and Miss Jenkins receive 80% of community property. Lawyers to finalize distribution. Custody is set. Mr. Fontenot has full custody of Jason and Deidre. Mrs. Jenkins gets Cynthia, Robert, and David. Both parents retain visitation. Divorce finalizes in 6 months. Maintenance followed. Bonnie pays me $1,000 monthly. Rich pays Susan $2,000 monthly for 3 years. Each child gets $500 monthly until 18. Jake called these minimal. I felt it fair. Susan questioned my acceptance, but I believed it was best. After the hearing, Jake scheduled our final property division meeting. I told the kids to head home. I wanted us all together. Outside the courtroom, my dad waited. "When did you figure it out, Dad?" I asked, curious. Susan looked puzzled. "Just a few days ago," he said. "I saw an odd charge on my credit card, an electronics store purchase for $500. I called them, and it turned out Jason and Rob bought spy gadgets." "Spy gear?" I asked, surprised. He nodded. "I followed you home after, hoping to catch more." At home, the kids waited around the kitchen table. Susan grabbed beers for Dad and me. Jason and Rob stretched out their hands. I teased, "Not old enough to drink?" Deidre spoke first. "It started when Cindy and I tried visiting Mom's office. She and Uncle Rich weren't there. We found their location on our phones. It was an apartment, not their office. We saw Rich's car there. They went 3 times over a few days, each visit lasting about an hour and a half. We told the boys, Rob explained. We found small bugs online to put in phones. The app runs in the background, doesn't affect normal calls, but drains battery. We convinced Pawpaw to let us buy them. Sorry, Pawpaw. He smiled. We put bugs on their phones and recorded important conversations. I asked, that explains the audio, but how did you get video and the apartment info? Deirdre replied, we checked their keys, both had a key labeled 201, not their office. Jason copied Mom's key and we visited the apartment. We decided to install cameras. Dave added, excited. We got motion sensor cameras and a transmitter. The receiver was hidden under the couch to collect footage and send it to us. I said carefully. So you recorded Bonnie and Rich and sent me the files. I'm not mad, but it's strange. What about the money? Deirdre continued. The first time Cindy and I checked, we realized Mom wasn't coming back. They had clothes, makeup, towels there, living a double life. We were furious. They weren't just cheating on you and Aunt Sue. They were cheating on all of us. Cindy said, money was secondary, but while snooping, we found bank papers with online access instructions. We even searched Dad's and Aunt Bonnie's offices with help from the secretary. Found bank info and passwords in a notebook. They used the same complex password for both accounts. Jason took over. We were mad finding hidden accounts. Thought they might be into pills or something. Dave suggested moving the money into our accounts. Dave's cheeks reddened slightly. We figured Dad and Aunt Bonnie couldn't just get rich and leave us with nothing. We knew about how divorce splits work and didn't want them to keep half the money. Pawpaw had already set up accounts for us, so we decided to take the money ourselves. It was risky, but since we're minors and it's our parents' money, we thought we wouldn't get into too much trouble. Everyone agreed. Deirdre nodded. If we'd known about the 80-20 split, we might not have done it. But it turned out better this way, I said. Then you started sending me those videos and recordings? Jason confirmed. That part was hardest. We were furious at Mom and Uncle Rich for what they did to us all. We didn't want to hurt you or Aunt Sue, but we couldn't just sit back. So we sent you the first video. We noticed you were getting upset since you kept delaying visits to Pawpaw and Meemaw. If you'd gone for a tool, we planned to tell you everything. We knew you'd tell Aunt Sue, and that's when we decided to move the money Mom hid. Yeah, we stole it. Actually, I know we did. But we all felt they cheated us, so it seemed fair. Hope you and Aunt Sue aren't too mad. I glanced at Susan, stunned. Grinning, I joked, I hope none of you ever get mad at me and Sue. But if you pull something like this, with your mother and Rich, I swear I'll beat you to death. Though probably with my walker when I'm in the nursing home. The kids laughed at the threat. Deirdre smiled. You don't have to worry about that, Daddy. You'd never betray the family. Us Cajuns stick together. My dad cut in. I don't get it. You bought those phone bugs on my credit card, and they were expensive. Where'd you get money for the cameras? Jason replied, the cameras cost around $500 each. They recorded full video and sound with motion and noise sensors. We got $5 plus $500 each for transmitters that sent signals to a receiver hooked to Deirdre's computer. That was about $3,500 plus shipping. We can get half back if we return them undamaged. We took the cameras and transmitters down already, but probably lost the bugs. About the credit card, we used Dad's Visa. I was confused. I don't have a Visa. Jason smirked. You do now. I applied for one and forged your signature. It has a $10,000 limit. Deirdre added, we bring in the mail daily, so hiding things was easy. Cindy and I set up the pissed off 999 email account. Rob named it because he was so mad at Mom and Uncle Rich. The kids smiled proudly as Susan, Dad, and I showed our impressed faces. So the bugs are still working? I asked. Dave nodded eagerly. They'll keep going as long as the phones have battery. Between the bugs and a phone locator app, we know where they are and what they're doing all the time, Dave added. Whenever they talk near their phones, we hear it. It's voice activated, so we get a lot of car noises and office chatter. We took turns sorting through the recordings for important stuff. I asked to see the audio feed. At the property settlement, Susan and I learned Bonnie was desperate for her jewelry, giving up most cash and household items. We agreed to some demands, but made them beg for the rest. Susan shocked everyone when she jokingly suggested Bonnie and Rich march through town with signs saying, we cheated on our spouses. She said Bonnie should wear only a G-string and pasties, Rich a jockstrap. Otherwise, we'd appeal alimony and child support. Boudreaux almost turned purple, clearly too interested in the idea of a scantily clad Bonnie. We overheard him warning Bonnie and Rich they got off easy and that we might appeal. Susan backed down only after forcing them to apologize on their knees. Epilogue. I can't say how it happened, but I swear I had nothing to do with it. 2 months after court, Bonnie and Rich's insurance company found Rich had been using company funds to rent a love nest. While others got bonuses, Bonnie's were suspiciously high and Rich's were hefty too. To avoid scandal, they quietly fired them. None of our videos went online, despite our jokes about making Bonnie and Rich internet stars. The kids didn't want embarrassment, and I respected that. Now Bonnie and Rich work at a small shipping company in New Orleans. They rarely contact the kids. Last I heard, they're struggling to keep up with alimony and child support. I wish them well, or maybe not. A little joke I like from Vandemonium: Thibodeau sat on his porch when cousin Boudreaux pulled up with 5 penguins in his truck. Boudreaux, what are you doing with those penguins? They followed me home. Ain't they cute? Take them to the zoo tomorrow. 2 days later, Thibodeau saw Boudreaux walking with an umbrella, a bag, and 5 penguins behind him. Boudreaux, didn't I tell you to take them to the zoo? I did. We had such a good time. We're heading to the beach today.